Welcome to the Newton County Insider Podcast, where the outsider gets the inside scoop on all things Newton County and the surrounding areas. Today I got
Dustin Gary
joining me here today, and we're going to talk about Beaver Fest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, we're going to take a trip back in time maybe a little bit here and then kind of dive into last year's event and then maybe talk about what's coming up. So I guess maybe we'll kick things off and kind of give me the rundown of what Beaver Fest used to be and how it came to be what it is today.
Yeah, sure. So I started as the Morocco Town Marshal in 2016. August of 2016, I took the full-time position. When I came on to Morocco, when I was growing up, Newton County had several festivals, and that was probably one of my biggest memories as a kid, going to the Lincoln Days Festival, and there was a festival in Kittlin and Goodland and Brook. Morocco had the Fun Days at that time, which has always been Fun Days, Morocco Homecoming. So my biggest memory as a child was going to all these festivals in the area. It seemed like every spot had their little niche. So I asked about bringing back the Morocco Fun Days. So I asked them why we didn't do one anymore, and they said, which makes sense because I've realized since then, finding volunteers to want to do some of these things are few and far between. You will get really good people with good ideas, but to actually sit down and follow those through, it's hard. And you have to have the funding to do the stuff that you want. So they gave me permission to do another one. We didn't call it Beaver Fest the first year. It was 2017. And the town donated money to the cause. We always do it on Memorial Day weekend. That's always when Morocco Homecoming is and when all the festival has been in Morocco. So myself and the town clerk, Sherry Rainford, got together, and we had several other volunteers, but it was kind of us spearheading and planning what we were doing. That year, we just had a street dance with a DJ, and we had it in Kessler Park uptown across from Mel's. And we had a small beer garden, and it went over fairly decent. So from that point on, we started getting a committee together, and we had several people on the committee. The town would help. The township puts in money like towards the fireworks and stuff. We get donation from other places. And when we formed this committee, we were trying to come up with a different name, kind of a jazzy name. Well, our school mascot is the Beavers. We live in Beaver Township. We had Beaver Lake by here, so what we came up with was Morocco Beaver Fest. Made sense. So starting 2018 was our year that we tried to make it really big and get a lot of donations, and we had a huge committee. So we moved the Beaver Fest down to the pool in town. The pool area is owned by the township, but it was a bigger area. We thought, well, this is going to provide us a bigger area to do what we want to do. Plus, on Sunday night, before the Memorial Day Monday, we have the fireworks every year.
Right.
So we moved everything down there, had huge tents, had bouncy houses for the kids, and it was extremely hot that year. It didn't go over as well as we wanted it to. So we ended up moving it back uptown. We took a year or two off because of COVID.
Sure.
And it hurt us a little bit, but we formed another committee. So myself and Nikki Kimbrell kind of spearheaded that and got some people involved, and we moved it back downtown. So since then, my vision anyway was to get the Beaver Fest to the size of a fair and have carnival rides for the kids. Because to me, it's because of my memory when I was a child of going to these festivals. I wanted to create some of those memories for the kids that are growing up in town now. they'd always remember Beaver Fest and how fun it was.
Yeah.
So to get to that point, it takes time, money, volunteers, and we have some good people around here that do give us those things. But we're just trying to get over to that hump where we can get enough money to get to that point. So last year we had a car show. I don't remember how many food vendors we had, but I think last year was the most food vendors we've had. And then we have sales vendors, and we welcome anyone to come in to do food or sales or whatever. When I go to a festival, other than going for my kids, I go for the food.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bring me food and I'm happy. So we do a parade. Like I said, the fireworks kind of end it all on Sunday night. But right now we're only doing the Saturday of Memorial Day. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we also have the townwide garage sales to bring some people in. So we're trying to get to that point where we have new people on our committee, welcoming people to come in just to give us ideas. Because the more ideas we have, we can brainstorm and put something together. We may have to go find the money to do it. But the car show brings in a lot of people. The food and the vendors bring in a lot of people. We're trying to get to the point where we're trying to figure out if we want to get a band, a good sized band come in, they cost money, and we're paying the bands $350, $500 to play here. So, and the bands that we have been really great people. Devil Baby has done it for free for 5-6 years now, and they're great people. But we'd love to bring in local people that play in bands or have the battle of the bands or something. Try to find that niche that everybody likes, that area of music that everybody enjoys, and to go and listen to the music. So, sometimes you think, well, maybe a DJ will be better for a street dance and the kids will enjoy it because they can play a wider variety of music for them. But I love going to watch bands.
Yeah.
So
yeah, live band's hard to beat.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. So we're kind of trying to dial everything in. I know 2025, Memorial Day 2025, we're going to bring back the car show. Everybody seems to love that. We're open for other ideas. So if anybody wants to volunteer to be on our community or our committee, they can contact us. We have a Facebook page, the Morocco Beaver Fest Facebook page, and they can find me just about anywhere as far as the police department Facebook page, or call my cell phone or whatever if anybody wants to be involved, or donate money, because that's kind of how we get the things that we need.
I just realized I'm being a terrible host here. I better stop you. I want to make sure we touch on all the things up at the front end, and we'll get into some of that. So you talked a little bit. So Beaver Fest sounds like it started around 2016, 17 timeframe. Before that, there was something going on. What was that?
Yeah, it's always been, and don't quote me on the dates. And I'm not even going to say a date, but the graduating class of whatever year, Morocco High School have homecoming. And that's when that graduating class, and I believe the surrounding graduating classes come, and they have a homecoming weekend in Morocco. And it's always been a pretty big deal because that was the last graduating class of the high school, from what I know. And they have a dinner at the firehouse, certain events that they do. And that's kind of what brought in the Morocco Fun Days. They had a parade, and they had kids games, they had vendors. And I remember when I was growing up, and early on in my law enforcement career as a reserve officer for the county, I would work security at these details, the beer garden at Lincoln Days, and that was something fun, even when I wasn't a small child, when I was beginning my career, that I look forward to going and working at. So it started out as the homecoming weekend and Morocco Fun Days. And I would say in the 80s, early 90s, it was a pretty big deal. and like I said, every community had something. So it brings people back to Morocco that grew up here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say about small towns, and I've heard this about Morocco. Bob Gonzi's told me before, and Bob Gonzi's our now acting town board president. He says everybody wants to get out of Morocco when you're growing up. Nobody, it's just a small town. But it's funny how many people end up back here.
Yeah.
Because it's that love of the community. It's a small town, and it's, everybody takes care of each other. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this, was to give those kids something to look forward to during this time.
Yeah.
It is a small community, so we don't have much, but we're trying to get there, bring in business and bring in things for the kids to do. So the more you can give them to do, the happier they are, and the more they have to do, keep their minds occupied and not getting into trouble or vandalizing or something like that. So
yeah, so it's funny. At one point in my life, I was that kid, couldn't wait to get out of the small town I was growing up in Nebraska, and I always told people, I was like, I'm gonna get out of here the soonest I get a chance. And the place I always wanted to go was Arizona. And I did that. Like as soon as I got out of college, I bolted, and, I worked in Nebraska for about 2-3 years, and then I headed off to Arizona. And when I got to Arizona, I was like, man, I miss back home.
I always miss home.
Yeah. I never went back to that small community, but I went back to the state, and it's something about that hometown feel for sure. It is.
And I was lucky enough that I've gotten to experience from my parents divorcing and my father moved to Oregon. My sister and I flew out there every summer to see him, and we lived in a beautiful, we had the Blue Mountains running through there. You had lakes and streams, and I got to experience all that.
Yeah.
And I even moved out there my 6th grade year, and I moved back here to graduate high school. I missed home. Yeah. And it was always my friends that I grew up with were here. Most of my family lives here, or within an hour from here. But Morocco and Newton County in general is where I grew up and where I wanted to live and raise a family. And there's something to be said about that small town atmosphere.
Yeah.
And right out of high school, I went to Arizona for a short time, and I love it out in Arizona. The heat difference, and there's no humidity where we were at, It could be 110 degrees there, and you don't feel it because here it's way too humid.
Yeah.
But there's just something to be said about that hometown, small town atmosphere that you get, especially being around Morocco. And there's always that, the frustrations of, especially me being an officer, you deal with certain people, and I'm sure people get frustrated with me because we deal with each other on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, those people I will apologize to them if I said something cross to them, but they will apologize to me, and we'll end up shaking a hand or hugging it out because we pretty much grew up together.
Yeah.
And that's how things are done in small towns.
Yep. Yeah. I remember hearing this not only from like in my family, but other families. When you're a small town, everybody knows your business. Mm-hmm. And when you go to a big town, nobody knows your business. But the downfall to that is nobody cares about you either. Right, exactly. And in a small town, they're in your business. But if you fall on hard times, or you're putting a pool together, you're building a fence, you're whatever it is, people come together and they help you out. I remember, I think it was when my dad was sick, or right when he passed away, we had to go to North Dakota, and my neighbors in the community we were living in, like without me asking, when I came back, my yard was mowed, the trash was out by the curb type of a deal, and without asking. And that's that small town feel that I think really attracts people to towns like this. I know me and my wife and kids, we love a small community. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And that's the thing is our community, you may have the bickering, and you do have people that talk. Everybody knows your business. But when something tragic happens, I would put our community up against any community that I could ever think of, because it's happened. I had a brother that passed away. I had my dad pass away. The whole community stepped up. Mm-hmm. Recent events with an officer getting shot in the line of duty, the outpouring of love and respect from our community. a lot of people don't want to be police officers anymore because of today's rhetoric and how they view cops and everything else. But my community makes me want to stay a police officer. Yeah. And we're lucky. I'm lucky. And most of the cops will tell you we're lucky to work in the community that we do because we have a pretty supportive community.
Yeah.
And in turn, we're very supportive of them.
Yeah.
But you'll have somebody step up and mow your yard if you're sick or take care of things. Or, I know people around here that have paid utility bills for the less fortunate, or someone's going through a rough time or something like that. The community will step up and do a fundraiser or cook a hog for you or donate the meat or whatever. That's what it's all about to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Josh Cowan was just on, we just cut an episode, and he was saying, so I hear what you're saying. And on the same side of that coin, when people donate to Beaver Fest and people find out that they donated to Beaver Fest, I'm using this as an analogy, by the way, like then the community rallies by whoever does that, right? So if you're a business owner and you donate to something and it pours back into the community rallies around those businesses. Absolutely. Too, right? And so we talked on kind of where it started and where it's been. Let's talk about how last year went. Get your thoughts on that.
Last year was the best year we had. We didn't set off thinking we're going to make thousands of dollars off this. Our goal was to make a little bit each year to sustain ourselves and to purchase things that would help the Beaver Fest that we don't, we have to rent tents and we have to rent a trailer with alcohol and stuff for the beer garden. We have to buy the insurance. We have, there's a lot of things that we have to purchase. So we rely on our donations a lot. So last year was the first year that we come out. We always come out ahead a little bit, but we made enough that we can now purchase a couple of tents and a chest freezer to hold all of our ice, because you don't realize how expensive ice is until you go to buy it and you realize, wow, and luckily we've had here again, buying locally, the Family Dollar and the Dollar General will donate ice to us or give it to us the first 10 bags for half off or something like that. Someone's always willing to help, which is great.
This town was out of ice that
it
weekend.
It was. So last year, our car show was great. They auctioned off, Neil Riley did the car show last year, and he auctioned off a motor. And I don't remember, I can't quote the price, but he made so much money off of that we were floored. We're like, wow. And he donated that. It's not like, wow, I'm taking the money for this or anything else. He just donated the money. So that's the kind of volunteers that we want, is the selfless, hey, I just want to help. And Neil and his wife have been great. I mean, they've done a ton. The food vendors were a huge hit. We had some, like the kids' bouncy houses and some games. That's where I think that we're lacking, and I want to step it up. It's just, what do you do unless it's getting Carnival to come in for carnival rides? What do you do for these kids to let them have some type of fun? So that's what we're trying. We're open to anything, we're trying to get there with, and it's not just the young kids, like the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. We want something for the teenagers to do. We want the teenagers to come and walk up and down town with their friends and stuff. I honestly thought that one of our big money makers would be the beer garden. Mm-hmm. By the end of the night, though, 10:30 at night, we may have 15 people in our beer garden. So it's a matter of what brings those people here. And it seems like when I was growing up, the adults, that's what they wanted. They wanted to get together and visit at a beer garden, listen to music and everything else. But we aren't pulling the crowd in for that. The crowd is coming for the car show and the food, and then they're cutting out at the end of the night. So we're trying to tweak times and get everybody here all at once and do the parade route right, because if you can bring in a bunch of people for the parade, maybe we can get them to stay. But that's where we need some outside help. That's where we need some new blood and new brains to brainstorm and think, okay, what can we do? What would you like to see come here? Because we're open for anything.
Yeah. No, you and I've talked, and maybe we'll get into that when we talk about, what to kind of expect for changes and things that you're maybe already working on to tweak for 2025. But I think there was the bag toss tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
How'd that go? Is that?
Yeah. So a group comes in and does the cornhole tournament. They bring a lot of their own people in because they travel all over the place. Last year I was at a festival in Mantino and saw the same group in Mantino.
Okay.
And I was like, holy cow, the guy says, oh yeah, we go everywhere, So, that brings in a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if we could get more of our locals to join that, that would be great. But I think the last couple or few years, they brought in 30, 40 people I see arrive with those guys just for this tournament. So,
right.
Yeah, we have the bag toss tournament is a big one. Not last year, but the year before we had a tractor pull, like the pedal tractor pull.
Oh, yeah.
Kids loved it, but there again, I don't remember how expensive it was, but it was over our budget.
It's super expensive.
It is.
Yeah. So in Nebraska, the tiny little town we came from, we're talking town 350 people. Mm-hmm. And don't quote me, but I think it was like $3,000 to bring in the kiddie tractor pull. They make no money on it. They lose money on it.
Right.
And so it's really tough if you're breaking even or barely getting ahead. Right.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, if you're paying over $1,000 for something like that to come in, it doesn't even have to be the tractor pull, but if you're paying $1,000 to get somebody to come in here, and you don't want to charge a lot for something like that, because this isn't the fair. This isn't, we're not in a big city or anything. We want to keep it cheap for everyone, or free. I mean, my ultimate goal would be, we have enough money that you can just let kids do this.
Right. I
know that's not feasible on some things, but if you're having a tractor pull and you're charging kids $3 a head, $5 a head to do this tractor pull, you're not making any money.
No.
You're not even making what you paid for it.
No.
And that's the thing. We want to bring in stuff like that, but we have to have the budget to do it. And if we had somebody that gave us $50,000 every year and said, I just want this to go to Beaver Fest, I don't expect anything in return. Hey, great. Then we could do a lot of things for free for everyone.
Sky's the limit there.
Right. But we don't have that. So we have to make money off of something somehow to sustain it. And we have to have volunteers to run those things too.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is if somebody comes in with an idea, that idea may be great, but who's going to do it?
Yeah.
We have myself and my reserve officers that we work security for it. We make sure the roads are blocked for the parade. We're running back and forth, and we're getting ice for bartenders, or we're doing it all. Yeah. And then we have other volunteers that's the same. But if somebody comes in, that's like Neil, I'll take the car show. Well, that's great. You got the people who run it. Oh yeah, absolutely. And he does. So that's his baby. He runs it. He does it with what he wants. I block the roads off for him, and then we don't have to worry about anything. And this is not something that, and I love doing it. I wouldn't ever say I'm not doing this anymore. But the 2 weeks before Beaver Fest, and then the week after, I'm swamped.
Yeah.
I'm setting up tables, chairs, running here to get tables, chairs. We have so many people. The town of Brook has given us tables for no cost to borrow for the Beaver Fest. We've had Benton County and Newton County EMA give us signboards and trailers and traffic cones, and we're getting so many donations that we don't have to pay for that I can't thank these people enough. But we're a small group. I mean, you've helped us set up tents and tables and chairs. You see, we're a very small group doing all this because we want it to go over well.
Right. Yeah. Last year, we kind of fell into it because, we met because you came to do a vent inspection on my boat and kind of gave me the rundown of the town. And then, we were talking what was going on, and you're like, we have Beaver Fest and we need some help. And yeah, I plan on actually taking some vacation this year so I can actually help a little bit more because I didn't do very much, but the night before I was helping set up and tents, tables, and then the night after doing the same. But yeah,
any little bit like that helps. I mean, you guys helped us out tremendously. Saturday night after it was all said and done, if it was up to me, I was so tired. I'm like, all right, let's shut down and go home. And I think it was you said, nope, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's pick it all up. And we had everything, the tables and chairs from the beer garden and everything picked up and put away that night.
Yeah.
Which is very rare that happens. Yeah. So, even if we get volunteers just to help with set up and take down, it used to be we could get community service workers to help with a lot of that stuff, but those are few and far between now too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, when I look back, I think another thing that my kids really enjoyed, and we can get into if it'll still be there next year, and it was something I've never seen. I've been to a lot of small town festivals like this, but the painting of the plow. I don't know how many kids actually went and did it, but man, my kids had a blast doing that. And that was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Yeah. So County Highway, they bring in plows from their winter plow trucks, and they paint them a solid color, like the plow is solid color, and just let the kids paint things on the plows. And it kind of gives the kids a sense of, if you see that plow driving down the road with all their paintings on it or handprints or whatever, and they've done a North Newton one and a South Newton one, it's that's one good thing that we have is whether it's our county police officers, our town police officers, our county highway, our EMA, our medics, our fire departments. It's like one big family with all of us in this county. And I don't know how we got there, but I've been involved in law enforcement for 28 years in the county, and it's always been like a family atmosphere. But especially within the last, I don't know, eight years or so, everybody has become, you have your different personalities and stuff, but everybody's become very close. So we have reserve officers that work at County Highway. We have the County Highway Superintendent, who's been a friend of mine, Sharon DeMacus, for years. Her husband is the reserve commander for the Sheriff's Department. And Rob DeMacus and I have been friends for years too. So they all got involved and, it's Beaver Fest. We're going to send them there. We're going to put the plows in the parade. We're going to have the sheriff and his deputies in the parade. We're going to have ambulance and fire trucks and everything in the parade. So that's one good thing about each one of our little towns or communities or townships, the whole county. You always have a lot of volunteers when it comes to that.
Yeah. It just stuck out to me. It was unique. I hadn't seen it yet. And I hope it continues because I think my kids loved it. And I know Cash got into it too. One other component that was pretty interesting to me, and I don't think I've asked you this before. Scott drove around a group of people. I can't remember what the title of their position was.
The Grand Marshals. Yeah,
the Grand Marshals. How does that person get selected, and what does that really mean?
Right. So the Grand Marshal is normally someone that's either done a lot for the community, has either lived here their whole lives, volunteered for things, made an impact in the community. There's always somebody picked that they've been a staple of the community for a long time, or they've done a lot for kids or the community. Even if they haven't lived here forever, they've done a lot. So it's usually the committee that picks them. We might ask for some advice or some names to be thrown out there. And we've talked about doing like a Facebook poll in the future, like, hey, these are the names that we have, or just throw out names of who you would want. but the Grand Marshal is usually driven around in an older vehicle or something to match their style. Like 2 years ago, it was one of our ex-town marshals that has lived in the area for years. He was the town marshal when I first started being a cop. So I drove him in the squad car because he was the town cop at one time. So he was going to be driven by the town cop.
Yeah.
So, it's just the Grand Marshal is always somebody that's respected and done so much. And that's kind of how we go about picking them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the parade went really well. I know the baseball teams got to be involved with that right on the fire truck.
Yeah, the baseball teams usually meet down by the pool and jump on the fire trucks or the boat or, whatever, and they ride through the parade and they love it. The kids are throwing candy or waving or, they just like riding on a fire truck. It's cool enough in itself.
Yeah, no doubt. And, last year being our first year getting to be a part of Beaver Fest, we thought it was a great event. We were happy to help out what little we did. And I thought it went really good. I'm glad to hear it was one of your more successful years. So when we shift gears and we move into 2025, I've sat in on one of your planning meetings. What can you share about maybe some changes, where it's going to be, and, what to expect for 2025?
Well, we've had one meeting. I think it was the one you were at. But we've run into some snags. One of our board members, Nikki Kimbrell, had a little bit of mishap and some medical issues. So we kind of took a lull on the meetings a little bit, but we should be starting those up again soon. And we've talked about several things, like bringing up the DJ again, and maybe instead of the bands, and getting a different variety of food vendors. We're just trying to figure out the biggest thing for me is trying to figure out what's good for the kids to do and what's going to be memorable for the kids. We've talked about several events that we can bring in for the kids. Last year we had the golf cart golf. That seemed to be a huge hit. There was a lot of people that come, and I've heard so many people say, I hope you're going to have that again.
That's awesome.
Because we really liked having that. And like you had brought up, doing something else like
it's the golf cart poker.
The golf cart poker, and maybe even doing it on a different night so we can kind of kick it off like Friday night.
Yep.
And get, maybe the Legion involved or something, because that's what you want to do. And in my eyes, during the holidays or the Beaver Fest, I remember football games when I was growing up. Stores would decorate their windows or color something on their windows for the football games or baseball games or something like that. And if we can get the storefronts to decorate or, the businesses to decorate or do something or get involved in something. And if you are a business out there and want to be involved, hey, I want to sell this, or I want to do this, or I want to give away these things. You're more than welcome to come to our meetings, or even just say, hey, this is what we want to do, and we'll give you the blessing and you do your thing. Get the business names out there, help promote your business. Give the kids something to do if you have an idea as far as that goes. But we have to have another meeting probably. Well, it's October now, so we'll probably have a couple of meetings this month, and then really start our planning meetings by the end of the year, because it happens at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, so we don't have much time left now.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, going back to the golf cart poker run, that's something that my wife and I seen at one of the small town Nebraska, town fairs or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. We got to be a part of it, go play, and it raised a ton of money, and it all for a good cause too. And so I've talked with some of the folks down at the Legion. They seem to be interested, waiting to kind of nail down some of those details. But I think it would be a great way to kick it off on like Friday, like you mentioned. And if the DJ thing's a hit, if folks have some ideas, maybe they don't want to be tied down to the board. They don't want to have to go to a meeting. Are they able to like go send you an email, reach out on Facebook to give you ideas, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest way to get a hold of us is to look up our Facebook page, Morocco Beaver Fest, and send a message through there, because Nikki or I always see those messages on there. If they wanted to send an email, my email that I use for everything for the town is Morocco Town Marshal with 1L at gmail.com. And they could always send an email to that. Yeah, even if it's something that I don't have the time or something like that, I don't want to be involved too much, or just be a kind of a silent partner. If you have ideas for something, anybody is more than welcome to reach out to us. Send an email, catch me on the side of the road, or flag me down one day and say, "Hey, I got an idea."
Yeah.
We'll listen to anything, because we're always looking for ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, with all the town festivals that I've heard about around here, stealing some ideas is a good thing, right? And trying to figure out what works here and what doesn't. And I think the thing folks might have to keep in mind is, if it's something that costs money to put on, you have to make sure that there's a donation that backs that or something, right?
Right.
And that was the beauty of the golf cart poker run, probably even the golf cart golf or putt. And it probably didn't cost you a lot to put that on, and was probably a good generator for you.
Right. And Becca Harrington put that on. She joined our committee, and she does a lot for the run. That was one thing I forgot to mention. We always have the 510K Sunday morning after the festival part of it Saturday, because Sunday is kind of the relaxation day, and then we end it with the fireworks at dusk. But they always do a 510K run in the morning, and they always have the pancake breakfast in the morning at the community center. So Becca Harrington's involved in that a lot. So she came up with the idea of golf cart golf, which I know Goodland and Brooke, I think, don't quote me, but I think the idea may have been stolen from Brooke, because I know that they've done it in Brooke several times, and they have a festival during 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
And I've always heard that it went over really well. So she spearheaded that, and I don't think there was some money making flyers and getting some, I don't remember what she did for trophies or.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Whatever, but there's always a cost in something,
Mm-hmm.
But she was another one that donated her time and donated her effort to make it happen, and there was people that loved it. They absolutely loved it.
Yeah, she was sitting out there she had a table, and she was doing registration, and my wife and I walked up to her. We were wanting to do it, but weren't sure, what type of commitment it was going to be to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time it rolled around, it had already started, and we were pretty bummed out, but hopefully we'll get to catch that this year. But yeah, so that's awesome. As far as donations go, say I'm a business out there and I'm interested in getting my name represented, and I give you $1,000. What if anything do I get in return for that $1,000?
We always make a board that goes uptown. We would like to do for our repeat investors, basically. We would like to do like some type of poster, like vinyl poster or something that we can hang downtown. But we have a big 4x8 sheet that we put all their names on, and we thank them publicly on Facebook, and give them our appreciation for what they've done. I don't know if, I think you and I have talked about it before with Nikki a little bit about the tax breaks
and the 501c3.
I don't believe that we let our town clerk, because she's a whiz with money. She's the greatest with money. I don't like handling money at all. So we have a separate fund in our town budget, basically, that's for Beaver Fest. that she sets all that aside. So if anybody wants to make a donation, they can go see Sherry Rainford at the town clerk's office, and she knows how that all works. And I could call her up right now or text her, and she could probably tell me to the penny what's in our budget.
Right.
So she's just really good at her job. So, but we would like to get with somebody to make some final posters to put up around town to kind of, hey, thank you for your support. Kind of one of those, if you donate over this much, you get this big a sign and stuff like that. So
different levels of sponsorship and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's anybody out there that owns a business that does that and was willing to do it for cost or something and get their name shared out there, I'm sure you'd accept that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. We're always looking for, you can't ever get anything for free. I know, but we're always looking for free.
Yeah.
Because that's how we get this out there. And, if 3 years down the road, we can make this to where people are coming from 5 towns over and saying, oh my God, Morocco, Beaver Fest. Have you guys ever been? That place is amazing. Like, we're taking the kids because they have this festival and there's so much for the kids to do. And, that's what the goal is, to not only get our town involved and give our kids and our people something to do, but to bring people in from other areas.
Yeah.
So it's my goal anyway.
Absolutely. And so for 2025, where can people expect this to be held again?
We've talked about moving this to a couple of places, but everybody seems to enjoy it being downtown. Like a couple of years ago, we had the car show down at the Record Park, which is south of downtown.
Okay.
The problem you run into is it kind of takes away from the downtown atmosphere, and then it separates the car show from the festival itself. And then you have to string out vendors. So we kind of like to keep it centralized, because we want the people that are enjoying the car show to enjoy all the food vendors and have access to all the bathrooms. And, it's kind of hard to stretch that all out over everywhere. Our ultimate thing would be to have a huge park in the middle of downtown.
Yeah.
But we don't have that. So we make it work with what we got. So it's still going to be downtown in 2025. We just have to, each year it starts getting bigger. We just have to move areas of parking and where we where we have the parade come through or something like that. Cause it's hard to figure everything out. Oh, the parade's going to come down this route and we're going to turn right downtown. But yeah, we have the car show there. So we got to make it go a different way. It's hard to figure out where to put everything without, interfering with other things. So we do the best we can. Yeah. And if anybody there's another thing. If anybody has any suggestions on, well, I really like the parade coming this way, and how about you move this over here or whatnot, we're open to anything.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing that's important to remember is you'll take all the ideas. If something doesn't happen, doesn't mean it was a bad idea, but Absolutely. There may be a reason it couldn't happen, right? And
yeah, there's so many things to put in there. The littlest things that somebody wouldn't think about, like, well, we can't park behind the post office because that truck doesn't deliver until 2:00 in the afternoon. So we have to block off behind the post office to make sure nobody's parking there so the truck can get in.
Right.
And then we can open it up after that. Well, the drive-through at the bank is open till noon, so we have to keep the drive-through lane open. We can't park the cars for the car show there until afternoon. Then we can shut that off. There's so many little aspects in there, that variables that we have to deal with, that, would we want to just shut everything down and not let anybody do anything?
Yeah.
We would, but there's still businesses running even on a Saturday,
right?
Yeah. So.
You just reminded me of something that kind of blew my mind. So I think ice ran out in town, but then all the ATMs ran out of money too in town.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have to come to an agreement with DeMont State Bank to make sure you guys stock that ATM the week before Beaver Fest because it definitely ran out. So, and we've talked about trying to get some type of, I think Nikki Kimbrell was working on some type of access to pay with your phone or one of the apps that you could use.
Yeah,
so
like a Square or something.
People ran out of money or the ATM ran out of money, that we could take cards also. And it's 2024, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's almost has to be. I don't carry cash on me. I use card for everything.
Yeah, it's one of those things that society has kind of gone away from. Not saying it's good or bad, but it's just not the norm, it seems, anymore. And, you know, maybe that's a little bit of a call to action to some of the vendors too, right? And I realize there's a cost associated to that, which is super unfortunate. But even if they had some of that, it might be beneficial and take some of that off too. But they got to worry about the bottom line too, just like you do, right? You can only do so much, and interest rates and all things considered today, it's every penny matters. So
it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if I could win that $350 million lottery, you know, I love Morocco. And I love the police department and the ideas that I have as far as investing in things for the police department and things for the town and cleaning up certain areas or building something for the kids to do and making Beaver Fest huge. Like, I would do it, but I'm not a millionaire.
Yeah.
And we're working basically off of donations at this point. So whatever ideas anybody has to make money, it'd be great. You know, we get t-shirts every year. Not every year, but we did, like this last year, we bought a new batch of t-shirts and we're trying to redesign the t-shirt, make them different. And when it was funny because the first year we really kind of got bigger and made it bigger, got a lot of donations. I made my police officers that work for me for security, our t-shirts were black and we put a beaver on there. And on the back of the shirt, I wanted it to say Beaver Patrol.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was a funny little thing. And all the cops would be seen with the black t-shirts and they'd say Beaver Patrol on the back. Well, finally, we broke down this year because everybody was trying to buy our Beaver Patrol shirts. So we made some Beaver Patrol shirts and they sold like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a way to make money, but you have to spend the money to make it. And do you make enough money? Is it worth it to make a couple $100 here and there? It is for people to get the t-shirts because it's fun and it's funny. And, you know, it's something that it's advertisement. You know, people wear the shirts out in public and everybody wonders, oh, what's the Beaver Patrol?
Yep.
You know, what's the Beaver Fest?
Yep.
So it's a way to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'd love to we talked about it and take the people that donated and put their names on our t-shirts too. I wish we had a local person in town here that did t-shirts or something just in town that we could give them money and kind of give back to them and then have them print them all up for us. So.
You're keeping it local. How far are you having to go for that?
Well, we drove all the way to Bloomington, Indiana
for
the t-shirts last year. So we've had a friend of mine has done them before and he's in Crown Point right now, but he's had businesses in a couple of different places. But this year, Pastor Josh found us some people that he's ordered from, and they were great. They were cheaper than a lot of other places, but we drove all the way to Bloomington, down and back in a day. So, you go where it's the cheapest.
Yeah, those shirts are pretty sharp too. They look good. So if somebody is looking to donate, whether it be, you know, time, money, raffles, whatever it may be, do they reach out the same way they would if they were wanting to volunteer or had an idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Track me down, message the Beaver Fest Facebook page. You could even message the Town of Morocco Facebook page or the Town Police Department Facebook page. It'll get to the right person or people. We're small enough that we all know each other around here, so they'll get it to where it needs to be. And it's not that hard to track me down. I mean, my telephone number's on my business card, so
Yeah.
Everybody's got my phone number. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad.
Right. Yeah. Look for the black pickup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to 2025's Beaver Fest and getting to be a little more involved this year, and hopefully partnering with the Legion to do that Friday golf cart poker run. I think it's going to be a riot. I think folks will enjoy it too. And what else do you want to make sure people know about Beaver Fest, or anything you want to add to wrap this up?
Really it's just about the people my age or even a little bit younger. If you can think back and remember what you did as a kid growing up in this area that was fun. I had sports and festivals, and I grew up on a farm, so I kind of entertained myself. I came to town to play ball with the guys, but a lot of times it wasn't until I was older and was either able to get a friend to drive me or whatever else. But if especially the people that grew up around here can remember what they did to have fun, and we all complain, oh, kids have changed, times have changed. They have, but we can bring some of that back. We can give these kids something to do. We can give adults something to do, for that matter. We just have to do it in a fun and safe way, and bring up ideas, bring up volunteers. If there's kids in high school that have to get hours for community service type things, or have ideas, or want to bring the band in to do, like the marching band came during the parade, but if they want to have the band in a specific area and raise money for them for something, we're always looking for that. Anything that brings people in, like we want to make money, but if it's making money for you, especially if it's for high school band or high school sports or whatever, make something up, sell some t-shirts, do some fundraisers, and do it during Beaver Fest, because that's going to bring more people to us. So we're going to provide some people for you. You're going to bring more people to us. So
yeah,
that's all I care about is, let's give people something to do. Let's give them memories. Let's make this fun and bring the community together a little bit more often too.
Yeah. No, I think that'll be fantastic, and really looking forward to seeing what happens here, and hopefully we'll get some people to go your way and toss you some ideas, maybe show up with a little donation. And I imagine $1 or $1 million, all the same, right?
Every little bit helps.
That's right.
Absolutely. We're getting anything from ice to paint for plows to, we get together. Even if anybody wanted to get together, a buddy of mine, Tony, one of my reserve officers, we get together a week before and we sweep the streets, and we leaf blow everything, and we paint lines on the road. And even if somebody wants to volunteer for that kind of stuff, the church, Pastor Josh and his people help out a lot with that stuff. So any volunteers, any amount of donations or ideas, we want to get this thing. I would love to see this thing huge.
Yeah.
We're Morocco, so we can't have the Lake County Fair in the middle of Morocco. But if we can get it to the point where it's our town people and people from outside are going, wow, like this is little Morocco, and we have this huge festival. That's what I want.
Yeah. Something they want to be a part of and they're proud of. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in.
Having me.
Yeah, this has been a blast, and we'll get you back on maybe a little bit before and kind of get some hard and fast details to the people and let them know what to expect. And
absolutely, we'll put an itinerary together, and we'll get everything laid out, and we'll go over times and what's going on and events and everything.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be fantastic. Look forward to that.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you liked what you heard, or even if you didn't, I hope you will like and follow the show and join us next time. If you have someone you want us to talk to or you want to hear from or whatever organization that might be, shoot us an email at nci92@outlook.com. We'll try and get them on the show. Thank you. See you next time.